All right. Good morning, guys. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Let me fix my camera. It's like cutting my face off here. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. It's Tuesday. We got some price action to talk about. It's really nice this week. I think Max would agree. It's been so nice to actually have price moving for once, regardless of direction, right? So, there were some trades we talked about yesterday. I'm going to cover a little bit of that. And the macro really hasn't changed too much. We are going to touch on it. Just kind of reiterate what we're looking for in terms of upside continuation and the levels we'd want to see hit, and downside what we'd want to see if there was a pullback, right? So we'll talk about that and the trade that was available yesterday. I'll let Max get a little more into that, but the trade that was available yesterday was a simple one. Shout out to Max. He was talking about how he wanted to see the highs taken first, which we did get right here. You can see that. I think I actually have it on this right here. You can see the local highs were taken. We've SFP'd them yet again, here, at least here on the hourly. And you came down yesterday after making this move. I did catch this almost to the dollar and then closed out pretty early down into this 20,904 level. These levels have just been so good. So for me, I took my profits there. I didn't mean to close the whole position. I was actually going to close half of it, and I closed all of it. So it's kind of a dumb thing for me to do, and it ended up panning out in my favor. It's not always going to be that way in trading. But the important thing is when I made that mistake and closed out of the position, I didn't just get back into a short at a bad position, right? So I just waited. I did miss this move this morning. I was not at my computer. However, we are taking the highs. We haven't done anything significant. And the only thing that's frustrating is that I believe the resistance just above us, like this local highs here, if you recall, is going to be the one that I was looking for, anywhere from 21,827 up to 22,810, which is a really big area. My preference, if I had to make one here locally, would have been 21,887. But you don't always get what you want, and this move's not necessarily done just yet. But there was a good long opportunity yesterday, and I'm sure Max will talk about it with you as well. But in the group, Danny was asking if this was a good long last night, and it certainly was by my standards. And I'll pull this over. So by my standards on this was a good long. You can see that you have flat OI going into the move, right? So you can see some things going on there. And then you get the OI dump, and straight out of it, you start getting, some decent buying imbalances, but also open interest is creeping up. So that's how I knew that this was probably likely a decent move. And for me, the first take profit was going to be the VWAP, and that's the level we were giving. But, from point of entry right here, which is right around at the time was the previous week point of control. I think you had your weekly open down there, if I recall. There's some good support in this region. So this was one of those longs where it was like, you could have been looking at this to potentially hedge along. It was a nice spot to find. Actually, I might be looking at the wrong one. I think I'm supposed to be looking at this one. I was wondering why it didn't look the same. Yeah, this is the one right here. So same scenario, guys. Open interest is flat, big drop all the way into support. And then what do you have? You have open interest increasing. And notice how the delta, people are still shorting this move, and someone sat there with limit orders pushing it up, right? So you have bullish divergences. So buyers are clearly in control here. You get some washouts here around the VWAP, but once you start holding the VWAP, it's a pretty good trend to make a new high, and that's what you've done. So you've come down into this area. This is a good bounce. You've basically rotated the daily range as of right now. So you can see you've come all the way up to the daily value area high, and I don't have the daily value area low marked. So we'll go ahead and put that on there. There we go. Yeah, so you've essentially deviated the daily range into the weekly val, reclaim, and now you've rotated the range in full. So that's a really nice move. But this is the one that I was looking at yesterday, right? So you can see you've got these divergences that are building. You've got good OI supporting these buying imbalances that are coming in, even though they're not that strong right off the rip. You can see they are coming in here, though. And essentially, once you start seeing this on a move that, it took place with high negative delta into the low, and then you get really quick candles here with this negative delta again into the lows. You're getting the buying imbalances, stop loss below the low, and you're just looking for that entry. Take profit one is usually going to be the VWAP for me. I know it's not that far away in the scheme of things, but the low on this candle was 20,861. Your VWAP, touch right here is 21,054. That's a 1% move. On a day trade, that's a great move, and you got more out of it if you took profit one on that. So I personally did not take that long. I'm already in longs from lower. I'm in a short from up higher still, that one from over 40K. And, I'm picking and choosing my day trades a little bit. Did take some good trades the last few days, so not looking to overdo it. But those would have been the two really great trades in terms of longs that I would have seen. I'm sure there was a short opportunity in here as well. I'll let Max cover that. But that's how I look at the order flow. I know Max he likes to look at few more things. I like using the volume chart and kind of keeping it a little more simple for me. But otherwise, if we're talking continuation here, which we might as well, we really haven't done anything yet. So we didn't break the local high, which is important. So that's the one thing we will note. It's a point for the bears, so to speak. You haven't broken this local high. And if you were to turn on your, volume range profile or fixed range, I believe, is this it? Yeah, there we go. Right here, what you'll notice is this is just encompassing all the price action since we broke above, just kind of looking at this entirety as a range. You can see that the quarter four, this 20,904, that's why it was a take profit for me. That is your point of control of the overall range right now. So you're looking to see if you can get below the VWAP, in my opinion. You'd be back inside the range. I'd be looking for that retrace into this level. And if it does that, I see no reason why it won't come down to 20,688.50, the old yearly pivot, but also the value area low of the range. And then we play the game of, is this going to make consecutive higher lows the way it's been doing and continue to float onwards and upwards? Or do we get that greater retrace into the CME gap here? Local gold pocket, I believe, has shifted on this one because of that. That will have shifted. So what is our new high here? 21,616.50. And if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Hey, gold pocket's still there, guys. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to change a lot, but it's still right on it. And you can see that your weekly pivots come in there as well, right around 19.8 down to 19.6. And that to me is the key area to the downside to hold if we see it. That's if we see it. A lot of people want to see us pull back to these levels right here, all the way back into like that quarter three low area into the quarter, two low. The 18-ish, give or take. I just don't see that happening and being good. I've been saying that I don't want to lose 19,150 at a minimum. I really don't want to lose this level though. This area of the chart to me is just very important for this uptrend, because if you start looking at how oversold you are, so we're actually going to look at the RSI for once here. You look at where you are here. The RSI can reset without breaking down to these levels, and that would be ideal. Coming back out of this like bullish control zone, so to speak, above like I would say 50 is not a good idea. And you may see that if this comes all the way down into this region. And then that to me looks like it wants to make new lows and take these out. So I would rather hold on to like 19.6. Really don't want to be losing this. It's also the point of control of the range at this time. So it is important to hang on to, because if you lose that, you expect to see the low of the range, and then you play the game of bounce or a new low. And to me, it would look like it wants to make a new low, but we don't know what kind of reaction we'll get down here. Obviously, if it's a favorable trade to the upside, we take the trade, and our opinions don't matter at that time, because that's all this is an opinion. So again, that CME gap area, that's where I'd like to hold. If we see that retrace, we still are yet to see that. Let's see here, 22,810. That is the area that we're most interested in. That's the local high here from, it looks like, in September. Anything beyond that, and I would be targeting up into like this 23,000, like 23,300 area, up in this region. And then that we're still looking at this from a macro standpoint. If the bottom is in, which we've been looking for this potential to get long, to look for this $25,000 region for quite some time. We've been talking about it since December. I brought it up publicly on other shows as early as December 14th that this potential was here. It's just a matter of, not blindly looking for it, waiting for the setup to come. And the setup did come in the form of a double bottom. But you still need to get back above this level. And if you do, I think you could see even a further extended rally. But I think that's getting ahead of ourselves, that we should really be looking at this level to level for now. And looking at these local highs, like we've said, target your local highs, right? That's all we're doing. We're just targeting the local highs here. And if you start clearing these, yeah, you're going to tag this level, but you could see yourself starting to try to reclaim some of this old range back above the 2021 open, right in here. That's where I'd be looking to. So very, very simple stuff. I think that it's more probable, if we get continuation, that we have that shallow retrace into like 19.8, 20,000. I think everyone still wants to see 18.5 or back test the double bottom here. And maybe we do, and I'm wrong, but I think it's more probable we don't do that if we're going to see immediate continuation to the upside and continue this move in March. And that's all I've really got. Let me check the chat. I did not do that when I got in here. Good morning, Jen.
Yes. Erska, he is on a fast, so I want to see everybody drop food emojis in the chat, please.
I am. I lost, I guess I converted it for Max. I can't remember. It was like 2.7 kilograms is what I lost on day one. And it's 6.1 pounds if you're going off the US scale. So I am having my one non-strict water treat today, and that is black coffee. So, and by the way, I found out how to say Urshka's name. It's not Urska, it's Urshka. She sent me a video of how it was pronounced. So, yeah.
Urshka.
Yeah, no, I did teach him your name. I can send him the video of your kids saying it if you'd like. He goes, that does not sound healthy. A lot of it was the day before Jen's. I ate like 10 tacos as my last meal, like a full rack of tacos, and like 1.5 pounds of ground beef. So it was pretty easy to lose 6 pounds in a day when you're water fasting, you know. But if you look up the benefits of water fasting, it's pretty good for you. I try to do them, you know, somewhat often. This one was necessary because my diet has just been absolutely out of whack. So she still needs some practice. I'll continue practicing. I'm just going 3 days, Caro. So just 3 days. I did a week last year. You're supposed to do 3 days, like 2 to 3 days, like every 60 days. They recommend doing like a 48 to 72 hour fast. So I'm thinking of dry fasting. I don't think I could do a dry fast. I got to have a little bit of water.
Does this look appetizing to you, Magic?
Does what look appetizing to me?
Check the screen.
I'm looking at the Twitter. Oh, yeah, no. Cherries and eggplant. Yeah. The old cock and balls. You know, if you catch me on day 3, Danny, maybe.
Okay. I'm going to take over that one.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
So yesterday's stream, I gave you this area. I gave you 2 areas for potential shorts. I gave you this area purely because of the bounces that we'd had throughout the day. Up here, it was purely market structure level. And you can see it was resistance, but we broke through it. Then where did we come up to? Well, we came up to the high and SFP'd it. If we go and look at that high, which was here, you can see what you had is after the initial move into the level, you had a ton of shorts enter, which is a good thing if they really push the price away. But when you dawdle around the level, as we did, and you have to think about how I always say this, I feel like I always repeat myself when I go over these things. But you have to think about how you feel when you're in a trade and it's playing with your entry. Normally it's a bit of pressure, like, oh, have I done the wrong thing here? You have all those emotions, all those feelings come through. Everyone has it. So when you see this and price, doesn't really do anything to allow them to take profits and give them reassurance in their trade, you can kind of expect them to be taken out. And where they're taken out? Well, they're taken out over here, where we get that SFP, which offered you the trade overnight to take you down to the weekly open, which is the trade that Magic mentioned using his volume chart. And you can see the move up into the level initially. It was a weak initial movement into the level. Volume wasn't really there. Open interest wasn't really there. You even started to have some open interest drop off before you even got to the level. Then you got there, took out, you had your volume spike, 20 million, decreasing open interest, and positive delta, which is to be expected when shorts get taken out. Huge selling imbalances coming back through the level, which should have been your signal to take the trade when you have such strength behind a move, especially at such a significant level. That's what you're looking for. And then you come down, and the level that Magic was mentioning was the weekly open. If I pop on marked, hopefully it's not too much of a mess. But it's the previous day open here. The weekly open is just hidden behind it. But it was the weekly open. And, you had a huge decrease in open interest going into it. And this is why I favor, where Magic has volume up here, I prefer to look at time when I'm looking at the footprint charts, purely because you can probably look at it on a lower volume and get the same thing. But I prefer it on a time purely because I find it cleaner. But you can see here you had a huge decrease in open interest with a ton of longs taken out. These are all the people that were buying up here. They all got absolutely wrecked in this move down. And then the reason why it would have been so good from an order flow standpoint, if you're not using the volume chart as Magic is, you can look at it here and you get your delta switch up. You're getting buying imbalances. You're getting, open interest increase with the move going up. So you're getting many signals here. Delta switch up, positive delta, increasing open interest on the bounce back. You've got the large wick. you've already had the initial bounce from the level, and then you can just cling onto the coattails and let it ride. And yeah, your initial take profit would have been the VWAP, and then you really would have been sat in that all day. I said to the group earlier, the majority of this day has been very slow in between. It's the London session, which I've seen in the last 2 days be, it's pretty much pointless to trade. You might as well walk away because you're not really getting that many trades in the session itself. You normally have to wait for, they're coming at the end of the Asia session or in the New York session. So that's where the trades are coming in at. No, you could be trading the bounce and that type of thing, but that is up to you if you're doing that. But then you came to the second box that we mentioned. And I said in the group, a touch earlier, this is the only short that I'm really looking for here. We come up, you have it was very fast wick straight into the upside. I'm going to just change this time to 5 minutes because it's cleaner. And you always want to see a fast move when you want to take your trades against the trend. Fast move, huge volume. I say huge, it's 38 million and 40. It is pretty high compared, considering what we've had throughout the day. But if you go back through the other highs, some of them are higher, but significant volume to be aware of. And really, when you're looking for a trade, and it's such an easy trade to take, SFP, they're the easiest ones there are. It was on huge decreasing open interest, and then what you could see in the charts is there's no really buying going on up here. It was purely taking out all the shorts that have built up, put their stop losses just a bit above the highs, taking all them out, taking all the liquidity that has been sat here, and pretty much immediately going straight back below. You really did have to be fast, but you had your triggers. You had your volume spike, decreasing open interest. It's not a good look when you then come back down below the level, and then you've got tons of selling imbalances coming into the move. You were given ample opportunity up here to take the trade, to take the short. And then you came down, tapped the daily open. It was a very nice fast move. And then I'm actually gutted because I was screenshotting, where are they? These longs here for the group and drawing an arrow saying, I want these guys to get taken out. I didn't set my take profit. I said I wanted these guys to be taken out. I already took profit to the daily open, but when that occurred, I said, okay, the next one I want is these guys to get taken out. By the time I'd drawn an arrow and posted it in the group, it was pretty much instant. You came straight down. Let me hide the marked. Took all these lows, which is where they would have had their stop losses, and you'd already got pretty much straight back up to the daily open, which is a shame because I wanted that. I wanted that for one, a trade for a long, and two, I wanted to set another take profit there. Now, where have we come back to? Because what you had here, I'm going to have to put this marked on again because I need the daily open to go in what I'm trying to go over here. So the daily open is really key here. You've got the VWAP there. It's really key for the current bit of price action we've got. And we were bouncing our head upon it when we were below here. But what you had was, and this is why order flow is sometimes counterintuitive, because you want to see positions coming in with the trend and that type of thing. But here you can see at the lows, you had positive open interest on negative delta. That's 2.5 million. The reason it's not solid red is because you've had such high negative delta candles previously that it's not solid red. It's kind of paled that out, but it is 2.5. It's a significant amount of longs that have entered there. Shorts, apologies. So a significant amount of shorts that have entered there. And when they don't really do anything and you're bouncing your head along the wall against them again, you can kind of expect them to be taken out. Now, where have we come to on this little rise? Because it's immediately after you had, positive open interest buyers coming into the market, which isn't ideal for the short while we're above the daily open. And when I say the short, I mean, this short. Hopefully people that took it have taken profits. But while we remain above the daily open, it's an issue. And where we're at now, we're actually at the golden pocket, pulled from the local high to the low that was made. We're at the golden pocket. Now, because of what's occurred on the charts here, and the fact we've already taken that liquidity, wrecked all the initial breakout traders. I know we've got some posts in the group of all the rect that occurred here. There was so many. I will pop my rect on, which I've dumbed down. I've really dialed down the amount of rect that come in here. I've put it on like 8,000 plus, so I don't get all the low thousands of people of dollars worth that were wrecked. But let me tell you, these two candles here are caked with people getting liquidated. Like, it's absolutely, the whole candle is just one big red bubble effectively, which is people getting wrecked. But you can see right at the lows here, you're getting 100,000 in liquidations, which is, a significant amount. And that's people leveraging longs up here, and then not taking profits when it breaks and getting absolutely nailed when it comes back down. That's $100,000 someone's lost. Obviously, it can be multiple people, but well, you'd be gutted. You'd be absolutely gutted. But yeah, right now in the immediate, as long as you're above the daily open, I do think it could be a good move. And the fact that we've taken the liquidity to the upside now, I want to say that the next attempt is probably the one where we go to those levels that Magic was mentioning above. But we've got to get there. We're currently at the golden pocket, currently rejecting. If you missed the short from up here, the SFP, normally when you get a high, you do come back up to the golden pocket and then reject and then go further. So if you've missed it, this is an area to be taking shorts. However, you do have to just be aware that, while we are above the daily open, there is a chance it comes back to you. So where are you putting your stop loss? Well, you have to really, think about that. Are you going to just pop it above this high and then risk just coming and getting tapped out? Or are you going to put it above the quarter 4 high, which is a horizontal level that we've got in our charts, which I would say is probably the best bet. If you're putting it above the quarter 4 high, which comes in here, you're not risking. You're not risking, an extra $150, let's say, just to keep it easy. Is that 100? Yeah, $150 or so. So risk is relatively small, and you could possibly profit from this trade. But it is a lesser trade than the SFP that occurred. That trade was a tier 4, absolutely banging trade. This one now is probably a tier 2. It's don't be over leveraging on that trade. I would certainly be cautious with it. But if you're looking for a hedge, well, once you've had a move like this and really tap the liquidity to the upside, normally you would then go to the lows, but it's not for certain. It's not for certain, so you have to be aware of that. But this is the area after you've had such a move that one may want to hedge. Is all I'm saying.
Very good. I'm gonna cut you off real quick, only because we're at 23 minutes, and I do want to cover the DXY and SPX today. If you want to wrap it up real quick, I'm gonna get over there because I want to keep these somewhat to 30 minutes, not to be the bearer of bad news.
Let me just grab a piece of pizza and you can crack on.
Yo, you're gonna fucking grab a piece of pizza. You would do that to me. I was just getting ready because I'm gonna walk after this on my treadmill for an hour, and yeah. But no, I like what you said there. If they're looking for the hedge, you've nailed it. That gold pocket there with the stop loss just there is nice. The one reason I wanted to talk about the SPX is it is doing something somewhat interesting here, and I'll go ahead and get the screen up, and that way you guys can see in terms of continuation and correlation between these two assets, right? So we've had this regression that we've been within for all of 2022. Some people just draw a trend line. I call them meme lines, but the trend line in the stock market has been fucking unreal this year. So you only needed one thing to trade the entire year, and it was this one trend line, right? That's the meme I go off of. But you're breaking the trend line, so to speak, so we'll see if it actually gets any follow through. But you're also outside of our resistance here. And this was a really major point of control, if you guys recall. We're on the daily. This is your 2-year point of control. It was your 1-year point of control. It was your 6-month point of control. So all the price action leading up to this was centered around this level in this box, which is your local gold pocket high to low. That's why that box is extended a little bit. You can see that you've back tested your average from the prior 6 months right here. The last 6 months of price action for 2022 came in at 38.85. You reclaimed it. Perfect back test. Now you're back above the point of control, and you're coming into resistance up here at the quarter 1 low, which has been a big area for us. And I'll get rid of this stuff. Been a big area for us right here. You can see this has been resistance. You got your quarter 3 NPOC up there as well. That's still technically untapped. So I did leave it on the chart, but yeah, you can see right here that you do have, well, there you go. You can see right here, you do have this untapped NPOC just above it. I think that at this point, if you make it this high, short of a swing fail up here or right here, this would be the preferred one. Taking this local high into the overall gold pocket from high to low, and you've got the yearly pivot from the prior session last year right here. So this would be the area I'm interested in if we continue to break out. Now, where do we know this move is likely failing is going to be, if you start breaking down from your quarter four uptrend, your quarter four regression here, which implies you'd be living below what the average at 6 months of price from the prior year, right? So the 6M1 for this year is just based on the last 6 months of price action. So you get below that average, well, we're going to be challenging these lows again and maybe even breaking them. So that's, what you're looking for. And if you see that, what would it look like if you did that? Well, it would look like a ejection at that trend line, but also you'd be coming back inside your regression after deviating it, which you have done in the past. So deviations make the best trades. If you're going to see some kind of a formal pullback, this is going to have to roll over and start giving up some support. And until you see that, I think it's really kind of one of those things where if you're looking for a head short, it's best to keep these to day trades for now. Or at least make sure you're paying yourself along the way. You can still have them open as a potential swing. Just make sure you're taking something off the table to make sure that you're not, when you get stopped out, you're still making some money or breaking even. You don't want to be, just like, I'm only going to hit home runs unless that's your strategy. And like, there's a guy in the group that he only trades 5-to-1 risk to reward. He wins 23% of his trades, but he has got a very profitable growth curve on his capital because when he does win, he wins enough to cover his losses because he has strict risk management, though. So if you don't have that system in place, my suggestion is to make sure that you've taken care of yourself a little bit along the way to ensure that those losses don't start piling up. But you can see if you break above this level, you're also breaking back above the regression. We're targeting the quarter three NPOC and Q1 low next, which is these local highs. But realistically, I think this box right here is going to be the place to look for. And we only start to see weakness if we break back down below, what's this coming at? I would say 39.53. You break below that, you've got a quick trip down, another $65 to the 6M1. That is support until it's not. However, if you lose that, I do think you start to see this kind of start to make its way back down into these like October lows. And that, probably translates to the Bitcoin chart. And this ties in directly to the DXY, right? And so the DXY is coming into an important area. We haven't covered this in a while. That's why I really wanted to. So I've had this box on my chart for a little bit now. This was the support, if you guys recall, when we were looking at this from a yearly stance. These were the levels that we were looking at. We have a 12-month level here, 12-month level here. This was your consolidation zone. We knew that if we lost this local low right here, which was a really nice support, to be honest with you, that was the one I had timed out. Was I'm looking for this low. We got a really great range. Again, 6-month level, so really high time frame level. What did we talk about? If this level becomes support, we're going to push up into the 6M1 up here at 107. However, be aware of the deviation because it deviated the range. That's a huge sign of weakness once it came back in. You'd expect a full rotation, small bounce, and then all the way back down to what? The much higher time frame level, which is where your breakout occurred. And you can see that you've got it right here with these local lows. This was the area that I was kind of looking to. It's not a random line there, but it is basically just identifying that this structure right here was going to be important. And you can see that you've wicked directly into it. You're now recovering the 12M1. So now what you want to see is you really just you can almost box this stuff off, guys. You could say, well, I'm not interested unless we recover the 6M at 104, or the first sign of strength really is going to be a recovery of this zone right here. This is going to be the recovery zone you need to see. You can see it was back tested as well right here at this low. So DXY is coming into macro support. And if this level is lost, I really feel like you're coming all the way down to 96. I believe this is a log scale. No, it's not a log. Yeah, I feel like you'd be coming back down to 96 here. So if we take these lows, we want to see the recovery swing fail, but you are at major support on the DXY. You're at resistance on Bitcoin, and the SPX is also here. So this, if it's going to push, it needs to do so, and we need to see the DXY breaking through this level. It may bounce a little bit here, and price may still hover where it is. That'd be a good thing. But if the DXY starts recovering some ground here, specifically 103.418, for me, that's the big area to recover. Then 104.775. So it's really kind of a zone right here. I wouldn't say it's a wide zone, but this level on the chart, I'm going to extend that box a little bit. you start seeing price push back above this box and you've got some problems. And we'll extend this over so you can kind of see where it's been at historically, which has been fairly relevant to price. Actually, this is a very relevant box. So you start extending back above this, you can start seeing those extended moves to the upside and a larger pullback. However, it can bounce up here and reject and then roll back over. So there really hasn't been any sign of strength out of the DXY just yet, to be very frank with you guys. But this is support. So like we've talked about, be careful YOLOing longs. You might end up in one of those liquidation candles that Max was just showing you, where the longs got punished on that last move down, as he was, indicating. But this is important to note. But it's also really important to note that just because the DXY is at support, this doesn't mean a macro reversal. Same with right here. What are we looking for? We have our targets to the upside. Every single bounce coming down. I wouldn't say the macro environment's bullish for the dollar right now, because I think there's a gold-backed stable coin being talked about overseas by some larger entities like Russia. So it is one of those things where just because this is bouncing doesn't mean reversal. You need to recover this area on the chart. And if you start seeing the DXY living back above this box between 103.41 and 104.775, kind of a large box for me, 1.3%, but you start living back above this zone, then yeah, we can talk that full-on retrace to the upside, and you can start pulling like massive, high time frame fibs and saying, okay, we're looking to, are we going to hit like a gold pocket retrace all the way up here at like 110? That's where that becomes relevant, but not until then, right? So you've already seen the sign of weakness into support. Now we need to see what's going to happen here at support, and that's going to correlate with the SPX. Like if the DXY starts recovering that zone, I expect this to roll over, back test the 6M1, and then make new lows, right? However, if it just comes up here and it's just another lower high and then continues down, I would expect, price to continue up, the rally to continue, and we'll see those higher valuations from both the SPX and Bitcoin. How far that rally goes is still unknown. That we've talked about maybe rallying as high as 26,724 in Bitcoin. And that's really not the line in the sand for me, but that's just, it's a statistical target. It's an average. So mathematically, it makes sense. And it's not getting too far ahead of ourselves just yet. And I think that's important to note, is that you're still keeping things very realistic. You're not falling in love with, this has to be the bottom or this isn't the bottom, because that seems to be the camps that everybody is in, is that either we're at the macro bottom or we're not. And I think I would really caution people to falling into camps like that, because it's, it turns you into a bag holder. It also turns you into a person that only wants to see lower. And then when lower doesn't come, you're just sat there going, it'll come back, and it never does. And I've seen that too. So just take good trades. That's why I went long. It's not like, you can't take longs in a bear market. You just have to be a little more selective. So that's really all I've got. Hopefully that was helpful on the macro, so you guys can kind of see what I'd be looking for. You could set alerts right here on the SPX. Even if you're not trading it, you could just say, all right, well, if we break back into this regression, I'm going to add an alert to it, whatever it may be. Can I add an alert to this? I feel like I can. Can you add an alert to a regression? That's disappointing.
So what I do if I'm doing alerts on a regression or a pitchfork, what I'll do is I'll draw another channel behind it, add the alert to that, and then hide that channel.
I'm just going to add one to this box. Maybe I can't do that either. Well, we're just going to add one right here. It doesn't have to be perfect. 39.54. I think that's actually $1 above the level I gave anyway. I think it was 39.53 in that box. It was 39.53.27. So we're going to get the alert just a little bit early. We'll just make it 39.54 even. And if we come back to that zone, I'm interested in looking to see what this is doing versus what the DXY is doing, because the DXY is at support. We would expect the bounce. Bitcoin has swung failed high right here. I did take that head short that you brought up on screen. I didn't even look at the order flow. So shout out to Max. That's already a profitable trade for me. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. Do you want to add anything before we go? Is there anything new coming in that?
Yeah, I would say we really have lost the daily open with a sign of strength, but again, it really does remain key. So if you haven't got it marked on the chart, mark it. We've had a ton of shorts enter just below the daily open, which is a sign of strength with the move until they're put underwater or we dawdle around this area. So, you do have to be aware right now where we are. You've got longs underwater and shorts underwater. The only thing that can really help us in this instance is market structure. Where are we heading? Are we heading to take out the longs, or are we heading up to take out the shorts? Be aware of that. Right now, we're moving to take out the longs, and the move does look relatively strong until the daily open is reclaimed. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna say I'm not closing this one because I've taken, I think, 3 or 4 good shorts off the level. I'm gonna try to hold it to see if we can't get to the bottom of the range this time. Since take profit
yeah,
one is already in, it's like I'm just gonna
I've
see if
taken
if
my.
it stops me out, it stops me out.
I'm leaving
That's
mine.
it.
I have just moved my stop loss to the weekly value area high, coming in at
Okay.
21,400, just to that high. I think if it gets back up there, there'll be either another short or it's going to go up. So might as well lock in my profits on that move. So
Very nice. Any questions from you guys before we hop off here? I did see a guy that was requesting hollow chain yesterday. We'll let CVO know to cover that, or I'll do a static video on it. I owe a guy on my channel near protocol, so that might be the chart build video that I do for the public. If you're in the group, we are going to do something different. You guys, we have chart building videos where I go over like ADA, and these are like almost a year old now. Filecoin, they all aged very, very well. I'm gonna pick a coin, and what I want you guys to do is do your own chart builds with your own ideas, trade setups on it, high time frame, and we'll let you know what coin. And once we have at least 10 from members, I'll do mine, and we'll go over the chart together and go over the ideas. And I'm not gonna look at your guys' charts until I do mine, or I'll do mine first, and then that way when you guys are doing your answers, it doesn't affect what I'm doing. And we can talk about
something magic doesn't, in case you have something magic
you
didn't
never
find.
know. You never know. You could.
It's the
You
thing.
very well could.
It's
That's a very
practice
real
to
thing.
see if you've got the same thing as magic, and then even better if you've got something that he hasn't. So
But it's really just it's just an exercise to incentivize you guys to be active and get practice building these macro charts, because that really is the very first step to trading, is learning how to identify the pivots in the market where, okay, I know how to do order flow, but I get a lot of signals. Well, when is it most important to be using that tool, right? That's the one thing that we always talk about, is like context is very key. And the only way to get that is through experience and practice. And it never hurts to have someone there to help you along the way. So I think that's what we're going to do. I just got to figure out what coin we're going to do, and preferably with something with good history, obviously. But I'll let you guys know today which coin that is going to be, and then we'll cover that one this week. And we might add a few different wrinkles into the group here in the coming future. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? So if you guys have any questions, and this is going out to the guys in the group, remember we do like a classroom after the update, and we're trying to kind of change up Wednesday a little bit, maybe a little more educational focus, because you guys get these daily updates from us anyway. You guys can ask us questions all day in the group about price. But if you guys have any specific questions over some of the theory, whether it's order flow based or like it's something that I've taught you based on like identifying chart setups, ask. It could be, hey, I don't know how to set up risk reward on stop loss. We have a video on it, but at the same time, we'll go over it. That's what that time is for. So put those in there. I know Max posts the template for questions usually before the streams, but I'll have them repost it today so that you guys know, and we'll cover the questions that come in tomorrow. That is it. That's all I've got. This is we said we were going to keep it to 30 minutes, and we're at 38. So I'm gonna end what I'm saying right now. Got anything to add?
8 minutes over. No,
I know.
all good.
All right, guys. Well, again, links are down below to anyone that's not in the group or just wants to check out what we do. Leadingcrypto.io is there. There's a Discord link as well. Otherwise, happy Tuesday, guys. Enjoy your food. I'll be enjoying my water with lemon, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.